بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد عدد كمال الله وكما يليق بكماله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم نويت التعلم وتعليم وتذكر وتذكير ونفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ودعاء إلى الهدى والدلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله مرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى وإلى حضرة النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Alhamdulillah. Today we are gathered to uh, read from the book of Imam Al-Ghazali, Ayyuhal Walad Al-Muhib, and we are at the 17th council. And in the 17th council, as we have noticed in last week, right, we started looking at the learning points from Hatim Al-Assam's travels with Shaqi Al-Balkhi. So Hatim Al-Assam was a student of Shaqi Al-Balkhi, and he has been a student of Shaqi Al-Balkhi for 30 years. So the lesson, what Shaqi Al-Balkhi was asking Hatim Al-Assam was that for these 30 years, what do you get from me? And last year we started on the first learning point of Hatim Al-Assam, where he said that he noticed that people were always separated from their lovers, and he decided to settle for something that will guarantee him eternal companionship, and that is with his deeds. So to collect good deeds, to perform good deeds, so that these good deeds become our companion in the grave and in the hereafter. Today we're going to look at the second benefit. We are at page 26. All right. The second benefit is that I saw that people, so Hatim Al-Assam told his teacher Shaqi Al-Balkhi. The second benefit is that I saw that people were following their lust. Before I move on, this is important, in a sense, this is an important lesson also on how you communicate with your teacher. So usually when a teacher delivers something, if your teacher teaches something and he asks the student, some teachers when they deliver, they will ask the student, how was the session? How was the lesson? A good student, all right, a good student will actually tell how that lesson is going to be beneficial for himself. What was the benefit he found in the lesson, how it is good. A mediocre student, all right, he will just say, Alhamdulillah, it was good. There's a play safe student. Alhamdulillah, it was good. All right, there's a play safe student. All right, so when the student says that, it benefits him, it neither benefits him, nor does it benefit the teacher. All right, because the teacher was looking at how he could actually, perhaps the teacher was asking on how he can make that lesson potentially better for people in the future. All right, or the teacher was really asking what you actually learn. So the fact you answer Alhamdulillah is okay means that you have actually not taken away anything tangible from that lesson. So every time you attend your teacher's session or session, you must make sure that you take away a learning point that you can apply to yourself. So that is a very important thing. So if your teacher asks you, what have you learned from this lesson? Or how was this lesson? Alhamdulillah, I like this point, this point, this point, this point. Because from this point, this point, this point, I learned something from this point, this point, this point. All right, so do not attend a gathering of knowledge just merely for the sake of attending it. And I've said this so many times before. When you attend a gathering of knowledge, make it a point for you to actually extract the takeaway from that lessons. How can you benefit from it? And how have you benefited from it? And how will you use that lesson? So make it a habit for yourself to do so. Okay? The second benefit is that I saw that people were following their lusts and hastening towards the desires of their souls, and I meditated on the saying of Allah the Exalted. All right. But as for whoever has feared the majesty of his Lord and has refrained his soul from lust, truly the garden shall be his dwelling place. وأما من خاف مقام ربه ونهى النفس عن الهوى فإن الجنة هي المأوى. All right. So he says, the verse says, but as for whoever has feared the majesty of his Lord and has refrained his soul from lust, truly the garden shall be his dwelling place. He's talking about the ability for you to control your desire. So convinced that the Quran was true and right, I began to deny my soul its pleasures. All right. So there's two things about the soul. All right. The soul has its needs, the soul has its pleasures. So the better Muslim will always be able to make that distinction between what the soul needs and what the soul desires. All right, because what the soul desires is always pleasurable. What the soul needs is usually something that is very basic and that you can get by with it easily. All right, so and hurry to combat it and refuse it to passionate desire it to refuse its passionate desires until it enjoyed real satisfaction in obedience to Allah the Exalted. So actually, all right, here Imam Ghazali is giving us a simple a solution that we have been asking all these years. We always ask ourselves, why is it that we don't feel the beauty of love? Why don't we feel the beauty of salat? Why don't we feel the beauty of fasting? Why don't we feel the essence of all these things? We have been doing this for many years. So Imam Al-Ghazali is saying that this is the process. The process comes actually not in the process itself, but what comes outside of the process. So you're always asking yourself, why am I not getting concentration or khushu' in salat? Why am I not getting khushu' or why am I not getting concentration in my fasting? Why is it I've been fasting for years and years and years, but I don't feel that? So Imam Ghazali says, the way here is to control your desires. Right? So let us take into consideration what are the usual things that we always succumb to. What do our desires actually succumb to? And Sunday is the best day to learn about this. Sunday is the best day to know our desires. So on Sundays, what do you like to do? What is your favorite deed on a Sunday that you don't have time to do on a weekday? Your favorite deed on a Sunday will be to sleep in. Right? We would like to sleep in. All right. Most of us are actually just awake today. All right. Most of us, including yours truly, we are just awake. All right. Oh, we 9:45, 9:30. Then we make our way into the toilet to wash up and everything else. So sleep. All right. Sleep. What is the other thing that's of a desire on the weekend? All right. We always wake up. We take the family out for breakfast. Then after having a breakfast, you go home. All right. And then you like to go to the kitchen. The kitchen is our most frequented place. All right. Even though we exactly know what is there in the kitchen and what is not, we just like to open the fridge and to see what's there, close it, walk to and fro the kitchen. We always do that. So you always notice that there are two things here that is desirable to men. What is most desirable to men? The first desire of man is actually sleep. We like to sleep, which is not wrong. All right. I'll talk about this later. So we like to sleep. Even though we are not sleepy, we just like to sleep. Well, our favorite pastime now is to lie down on bed and just surf incessantly. All right. Just keep on surfing, scrolling until you fall asleep. So even though you're in a position to fall asleep, you decide to create a situation for you to sleep. All right. And you always realize that, you are into sleep so much when you actually get more tired after sleeping. The purpose of sleep is rest. But if you get more tired after sleeping a long, lengthy time, all right, it can be only two things. It can either be you're really unwell, or secondly, it is that the sleep has not fulfilled its purpose. All right. Maybe you have a wayward purpose that your sleep is fulfilling. The second thing is food. As you can see on social media, food becomes an obsession. You can make a career out of food. I'm not talking about being a chef. I'm not talking about someone that cooks. All right. You can just make a living out of going around and tasting food now. All right. And it's not even the job of a good critic. All right. It's not like the job of Anton Ego in Ratatouille, where you are professionally, all right, you are acknowledged because of your qualifications to taste food. No, you just go around and become a food critic of your own creation, of your own criteria, and that becomes a career out of you. All right. So food becomes something that is desirable to us. We get satiated, we get happy just by looking at food. All right, we forward each other messages about which place to go for food the next time. So food. The third one is letting our opinions become heard, whether it be in speech or in writing. So the desire of man is to actually be heard or be seen. Or so whatever opinion, whatever is in your mind, you like it to be seen. So that's the desire. That is most manifested in what? In social media. Whatever you feel you want to put across, you put across. All right, you put it across. All right, you will share it. All right. Even though then you get into an argument, and then you'll be all the more determined to decide what you share. So these three things are actually the primary desires that is pertinent today, and it's always been so. All right. The desire for us to consume, the desire for us to sleep excessively, the desire for us to be heard in all things. And therefore, work towards now. So for all these three things, the solution is given in the religion. All right. When you're talking about the desire to sleep, what is the remedy for that? The remedy for that is to lessen the sleep and to at least spend more time in night vigil. All right. Wa minal laili fatahajjad bihi nafilatan lak. And from a portion of your night, fatahajjad bihi, perform your tahajjud, nafilatan lak, as an additional deed to your existing deeds. Asa ayyab'athaka rabbuka maqaman mahmuda. And perhaps by doing so, Allah will raise you to a praiseworthy status. Alright, so cut down on sleep. Sleep only when you are really feeling tired and exhausted. Ask yourself, is it worth it? Alright, and you know this so because when you work, you notice when you work from 9 to 5 every day, you never find time to sleep. On a normal working day, you are always awake. Alright, you are working from point to point, from 9 to 5, from 8 to 8. You are able to stay awake. And even though you need a sleep, you know it's just a short nap will do. Why is it so? Therefore, that when you superimpose that reality to a Sunday or a weekend, you find that you like to laze around. All right. So that is one thing that you need to cut down. This is provided you really want. All right. This is provided you really want to feel the beauty of worship. You want to feel the beauty of relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you are fine with your current status quo, then it's good. Then no problem. If you find it's okay, I enjoy food, I want to enjoy my sleep. I have not performed into sin, I've not performed sins, that's fine. Because ultimately, all right, a person, all right, is a measure of a Muslim is by doing good deeds and avoiding evil. So this is just a way to elevate the state of our iman. Right, but don't we all desire to have a state of iman that is more exalted in its current state? Aren't we actually feeling a little bit tired of being in the fact that we are still stagnating in our progress? Everything in our life we require a progression. It's amazing that we have no desire to progress in terms of our faith or all right, our iman. Which is why the Prophet says, Jaddidu imanakum biqawli la ilaha illallah. All right, renew your faith by all right saying la ilaha illallah. Okay, now the next thing is to fast. So make it a point to fast as well. If you're not fasting, the more regularly you fast, the better. The fast of Prophet Dawood is on alternate days. The fast of our beloved Prophet is on a Monday and a Thursday. All right. The fast of our Prophet also comes in a monthly basis. All right. Ayyamul Bid. All right. It's always the 13th and 14th on 15th. All right. On Islamic calendar. Or you find the day to fast on certain times of the year. All right. Certain of the year. Yawmul Arafah, Yawmul Ashura. Fast. So make it a point to have additional recommended fast in addition to the fast in Ramadan. In fact, the fast in Ramadan becomes more illuminated if you are a regular one who fasts outside of Ramadan itself, because fasting will curb your desires. And you watch this. Those of us who like to fast, sometimes we also, Ustaz, I've been fasting, but I don't get the feeling of beauty in my worship. Look at how you break your fast. Because sometimes we are fasting. Yes, we curb our desires in the day, but then we unleash it at night. So some scholars, Imam Ghazali, Imam Abdullah ibn al-Haddad in the Book of Assistance actually reprimanded us against this. He says that if you are fasting in the whole day and holding your desires, and then at night you eat and consume all that you want, you are merely shifting the trajectory of your desires from the day and onto the night. So he says, watch what you break your fast with as well. In fact, that's a true measure. All right, that's a true measure. If you have been in prison for so long, a true measure of a convict is not when he is in prison, because in prison you are restrained. But once you get your first day of freedom, how do you behave and how do you react? That is a showcase of yourself, your true self actually. All right, so get into fasting. And the third one, how do we curb our desires to speak? Our desires to speak excessively more than we should, to write more than we should, is actually to stop doing so. There's always this desire to say something. You always have to say something about something. Hold back. All right, hold back. If you have nothing to post, don't post. If you have nothing to argue about, don't argue. The Prophet ﷺ says in the hadith, "Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir falyakul khairan aw liyasmut." Whomsoever believes in Allah and the day of judgment, falyakul khairan. Say good, or hold your, all right, or keep quiet, or remain silent. So try to, in the words of Depeche Mode, There's a song by Depeche Mode. What is it called? Enjoy the silence. All right. You can try listening to it after that. All right. So enjoy the silence. We don't enjoy the silence. Imam Jalaluddin Rumi, all right. Hey, Jalaluddin Rumi says, all right, the Sufi saint, he says that in order for you to enjoy, you will only be able to enjoy silence if you're not part of the noise. So just keep your audience, keep your counsel to yourself sometimes. All right. So that's a very important thing. Or keep your counsel only to people who are worthy of it. All right. Yeah. So some people, I notice some people, right, when they are in public, they are very quiet. But when their spouses describe this, when he or she is with me, he or she tells everything to me. That is something we can work towards. To not be the same person to everyone, but be special for certain people. Keep your words to people who are special to you. All right, don't keep your words to everyone. Everyone has to know what you think. All right, sometimes certain people deserve that distinction whereby they only have the greatest access to your thoughts, to your mind, because you only open up to them often. All right, so these are the three things we need to consider. All right, in curbing our desires. So until it enjoyed real satisfaction in obedience to Allah. The next thing you need to consider is that it is something that takes time. All right. Do not think that you're going to start fasting tomorrow and then by Tuesday your ibadah is good. No. It takes time. Therefore, it is important, therefore, to have the target, to have the routine, and to be patient. All right. Habits itself takes, as an expert says, habits take 2 weeks to formulate. So in order for you to get into the habit, you need 2 weeks to actually maintain it, hold it. And then after that, you get into the routine itself. So for example, if you want to fast, all right, experts say, this is the worldly experts, but we still take it. All right. They say that if you are starting to fast, make it a routine first. And then for first 2 weeks, all right, the first 2 weeks, make sure that this fasting is kept strictly, you abide by it. So in the sense that fast well, break fast well. All right, means that you break fast, not in the manner of following the desire for 2 weeks. Now, that 2 weeks, therefore, is not conclusive. That 2 weeks is actually the formative period of your of setting your routines. So those 2 weeks is actually to get your body and your soul accustomed to not consuming things that you desire. So the 2 weeks is very important. Then after that 2 weeks, then you continue that routine. Now that will be that's when the journey starts. The prep work is 2 weeks, but the journey starts after that 2 weeks. So it's actually not that easy. All right, it's actually not that easy. Okay. But it is something that is worth working towards, because it is a guarantee that if you watch after your soul, right, it actually becomes a process whereby your body becomes healthy as well. فَإِذَا صَلَحَتْ صَلَحَ سَائِرَ الْجَسَدِ. Right, if it's good, all right, if your soul is good, then your body will also become healthy as well. Right, so and there's a difference. Where saying now Umar bin Khattab, he saw someone with a beer belly. Not that person consume beer, but he's got a big belly. All right, he actually tapped that person's tummy. Mahada. All right, he says, "What is this?" I know if Sayyidina Umar was to ask you a question, you will not argue with him. But this guy is saying that this is a blessing for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He replied to Sayyidina Umar, this is a blessing for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Sayyidina Umar said, this is a curse from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All right. So this is something that we need to be mindful of, to work towards. All right. So we are not denying ourselves of desire, but actually we need to constrain it. All right. Inna nafsa la ammaratum bisu'i illa ma rahima rabbi. All right. That indeed, says Allah in Surah Yusuf, Inna nafsa la ammaratum bisu. All right. That the desire will always take you to evil. Illa, all right, with the exception of the compassion. If Allah interjects, if Allah steps in, all right, illa ma rahima rabbi. It is compassion that is stopping us from performing sins. Which is why you must bear in mind, therefore, right, there are things that are desired and forbidden. There are things that is desired yet permissible. There are two categories. Things that are desired yet is forbidden, is haram. All right? You can't eat certain things, you can't drink certain things, you can't consume certain things, it's haram. This is known to us and is known to the devil as well. So the devil doesn't strive for us. All of us students of knowledge here, the devil won't say don't eat, the devil won't tell us drink beer. Won't tell us to eat pork. All right, he won't tell us to eat that. All right, what will the devil tell us? So there's a next category whereby what is desired yet permissible. What is desired yet permissible. For this one, the devil tells us to consume it in excess. What is desired yet permissible is what you have every day. Is your sleep, is your diet, is your food. All these things are desired yet permissible. all right? And it's not wrong to desire them, but it must not be a desire in excess, because one thing will lead to another. Right? So scholars says that if you eat too much, what are the effects of consuming too much? All right, you become slovenly, you become lazy, you become heavy in your acts of worship. All right, what else? When you consume too much, your heart, all right, the spiritual state of your heart is that it becomes less tender. You are less likely to receive advice, and you are less likely to deliver good advice. So this is it. All right. What is the effect of the excessive sleep? Is the same thing. Your heart becomes stiff. All right. Your heart loses its compassion. All right. And henceforth. So it is something that we need to work towards. All right. To curbing our desires. Okay. And step by step. But Imam Al-Busiri also cautioned against taking that first drastic step. He says that the devil tricks us in both ways. He makes us either work excessively towards the fulfillment of our desire, or work excessively towards constraining our desire. Either way is going to be hurtful for us, in the sense that, okay, I eat too much, it is not good for our desire, so I go the other extreme. What? I fast to the point where I've become unhealthy. I fast to the point where I can't function. I fast to the point where I can't worship. That is already counterproductive. So the Prophet says, Khairul umuri awsatuha. The Prophet says that the best of deeds are done in balance. So when you do things, that's why you fast, you break your fast. But when you break your fast, watch what you break. You shouldn't fast, but not, then you become anorexic. Correct? You throw out what you eat. No, you fast healthily. You also break fast healthily. Do not make your deed an irony. If you are fasting to be healthy, then you shouldn't be unhealthy in Ramadan. All right. If you're fasting, all right, for your body to lose the excess fats, then you should be able to fit. You should not be able to not fit in, all right, into your Hari Raya attire on 1st of Shawwal. All right. It is quite ironical if you are fasting in Ramadan and then in Shawwal you are bigger than when you were in the month of Sha'ban. Okay. The third benefit, all right, says Imam Al-Ghazali, is that I saw the third benefit, according to Imam Hatim Al-Asam, he says, is that I saw that every human being is striving to accumulate as much as he can from the wreckage of this world and then holding on strongly to it. We fight for something and we don't want to let go. Okay. I meditated on the Quranic verse, what is with you must vanish, what is with Allah must endure. Ma indahu yanfad wa indallahi baq. All right, this is what it says. All right, in the Quran. All right, he says ma indakum yanfad. All right, ma indakum yanfad wa ma indallahi baq. All right, which means, all right, what is with you must vanish, what is with Allah must endure. So I gave freely my worldly possessions for his sake, by distributing them among the poor, so that it will be my provision in the future with him the exalted. It means what? And we covered this last week. All right, to only have enough from this world. Let's look at what is mean here. Today we're going to critically, all right, work on this one. All right, so what he's trying to say is that everyone is clinging on. All right, everyone is seeking the world, all right, but it's not giving. So we are seeking the world, but at the same time, we hold on to it. Seeking the world and holding on to it. Now, what is the issue here? The issue here is intentions. Is the issue here seeking the world? No. The issue here is intentions. All right. So be mindful, because we are not going to drop the world. All right. We're not going to drop the world by reading this. All right. When we read this, it is important for us to therefore know what to do with the world. And to know what to do with the world does not mean that you have to drop it in totality. All right. To know what you want from the world is not to drop it in totality, which is why in the Quran, the dua, the ultimate dua that is mentioned by the Prophet ﷺ, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adzabannar. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana. Oh Allah, grant unto me from this world what is good from it. So it's not saying that the world is in totality bad, nor is it in totality good. But what is good from it, Ya Allah, that I can take to the hereafter, grant it unto me. So therefore, to deal with this reality is to ensure that from whatever we get from this world, the intention is for us to utilize it for the sake of the hereafter. That is what this verse, this advice from Hatim Al-Asam means. It doesn't mean for us to negate the function of this world, because the world has a great function. Ad-dunya mazra'atul akhirah. This world is for you to cultivate. All right. You are supposed to cultivate in this world so that you reap its reward, you harvest it in the hereafter. This is for you to plant it. You plant your seed in this world. So the world has a function. In fact, some scholars says, therefore, by virtue of that, the world is actually, this world we live in is more important than akhirah. Why so? Because akhirat, the importance is your place of dwelling, your place of judgment. But what is the basis for your place of judgment? What is the basis for your place in akhirah? It is actually your dunya. What you do in dunya will be made accountable in the akhirah. Therefore, your dunya becomes more important than your akhirah by that. All right. Whatever you're responsible for in this world, your wealth, your children, your family, all right, they are all part of this dunya. So since they are part of this dunya, so how you perform with regards to them is important. So more important by virtue of that as compared to akhirat. Akhirat is important by virtue of the eternal state of it. All right. It's important because of the nature of paradise and hell. But the basis for it still comes from this. So do not actually negate your role in this world. Okay. Because why? Because recently I was looking at Instagram. People, you should be. I find it sometimes as much as you have reservations against sharing food or sharing funny clips, which my brother and one like to do all the time. I find it sometimes less harmful than sharing religious advice at the wrong time or with the wrong message. All right. If you share a funny clip, what is the worst that come of it? You laugh and I laugh and okay. If you share a wrong religious advice from a source that you are not certain of its legibility, of its legitimacy, all right, you might get the ummah in a worse state than it is. All right, because what affects the jaw in terms of smiling, all right, is different from what affects the heart from performing. So I was observing. There was once someone shared a video about someone who is being asked. All right, someone being asked about how do you balance between seeking knowledge and actually work. And one of the skills, all right, one of the skills, and those of us who follow the class on Sunday night, all right, about our Master Muhammad, is that the Prophet ﷺ, he is more sensitive to the questioner. When the question is asked, the Prophet's desire is not to answer in immediacy, but is to answer based on the realities of the questioner. So if someone is asking me, Ustaz Hafiz, how do I balance between seeking knowledge and work? What is the dynamics of this person? There's a probability, therefore, that this person, right? There's probability, therefore, that this person is now embarking on work and is seeking to know how can he, while working, still be able to fulfill his function or fulfill his responsibility as someone who learns the religion. Or this person is the other way around. He is learning the religion, but he has responsibility for his elderly or his family. Therefore, he needs to work. So when I answer, and I know that is the nature of the answer, I will not answer based on my opinion of how I went through my experience. So I cannot answer by saying that actually there's no balance. And then you go on a long explanation about how you shouldn't work excessively, that you shouldn't work, that no matter what, you should work hard, you shouldn't work hard, that you should not commit yourself to working, all right, because the world is ending, the hereafter is eternal. That's not the point. You've forgotten the point. Is that the point is to actually accommodate this brother or sister who is asking, to help them move forward, to tell them that there is a way forward. You can answer by saying that it is difficult to balance between seeking knowledge and working, but we can work towards it. The point about giving answers is for you to be realistic, but at the same time, you must not detach the hope from the questioner. Because the questioner is expecting something. And the Prophet never, ever ridicules or belittle or shifts the trajectory of a question. Remember the young man who asked the Prophet, I want to fornicate. He came to the Prophet, I wish to fornicate. The Prophet immediately understood what this person was asking and answered accordingly. So it's important for us when we share something, make sure that sharing, if someone reads it, what will be the outcome? And inside the prophetic tradition, you know the Prophet ﷺ, he emphasizes on balance. There are companions that they themselves, they seek knowledge, but at the same time they work. All the companions, it will be, if you read the work of At-Taratib al-Idariyah by Al-Imam Abdul Hayy Al-Kittani, all right, the prophetic society, All right, this book, or the content of this book, was taught to us by Sheikh Ahmad Salih Al-Azhari when he came in 2019. All right. Inside that book, he tells that all the companions, they have a career, they have a profession, they have an expertise. So they are earnest in their work, they are driven in their work, they are committed to their work as much as they are committed to the pursuit of knowledge. So when you give someone an answer, also understand, therefore, that you must also give them based on the realities, not based on your reality. Maybe you were an earnest student of knowledge, and work wasn't a concern for you because somehow Allah provides for you. Good for you, alhamdulillah. But not everyone goes through the same trajectory as you. Not someone goes through the same context as you do. Look at the general context. In Singapore, for example, if people are generally working, so your answer should actually provide them with that balance, that you work, but put aside some time to seek knowledge. Then that is the balance that you can achieve. Always give someone empowerment to achieve something, even though it might look difficult, but in reality, by the side of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, nothing is. All right. So look at this one. So this advice of the third benefit is also Imam Hatim Al-Assam saying that it is important for us to have pertinence, the pertinence of gratitude. All right, there's two things we're going to look on today that we should work towards. The pertinence of gratitude. What happens? He's talking about how people strive for this world, but desire not to give from it. Desire not to give from it. So what he did was to provide for the poor. Now, the root of all this, all right, the root of all this is what is the intention between us accumulating something? What is the desire behind us accumulating something? Why do we want something? Ask ourselves that. Do not go through the rat race without knowing what you want in the first place. No, it's not a poem. I'm just saying it. All right. Do not go to the rat race not knowing what you want in the first place. Don't go into a rat race because all the rats are doing so. I'm doing this because everyone is doing so. Be certain about your decisions. All right. So one important value that we need to work on is gratitude. All right. Gratitude. You earn so that you can give. You accumulate so that you can provide. Why are you working? So scholars tell us, why do you work? Why do you pursue this work? I work because from my earnings, I can pay my zakat. I work because from my earnings, I can provide for those who I'm responsible for, my children, my family, my parents. Why do you work? I work because through working, I become someone that is not dependent on others. And Islam looks highly upon those who depend on themselves rather than depending on others. Why do you work? I work, therefore, that I have the basis to provide for charity. Why do you work? I work because it is a premise for me to do da'wah. When I show good akhlaq, I show good work commitment, people see how beautiful a Muslim can be at the workplace, and that shows them something good about the religion. It becomes da'wah. So you set the intentions, right? You set the intentions. Okay, so it's important that when you pursue matters of this world, which is not wrong, the outcome is the hereafter. The outcome is the hereafter. And the way to go about doing that is to have an attitude of gratitude. All right. So whatever you have, you notice, is to give away, is to give. You earn to give. You work for something to eventually give it. All right. It's like going to war, but giving out the spoils of war. That's why when you work, it's actually a sacrifice. So do not. So I am not on a campaign, on a personal campaign, to tell people to take your work seriously. It is a forgotten sunnah. It is a forgotten sunnah to take your work seriously, to give time and focus on your work. Right? Time and again, we hear complaints of, sometimes brother, everyone used to talk to me, work. When people, when they work, they tend to cut corners. That's the problem. Islam, people tend to assume religiosity with a poor work attitude. People think that the more religious you are, the poorer your work attitude should be, which is problematic. Because the Prophet says that Allah likes his servants that when they do something, they do it properly. That they don't cut corners, that they do things to perfection. That they are committed to doing something. And the Prophet, when he does something, he does all out. He does it properly. All right? He doesn't believe in slipshod work. All right? So that's one. And the second thing, so first is the attitude of gratitude. Second is to have faith. What is to have complete faith? What is complete faith? La yu'minu ahadukum hatta yuhibba li akhihi ma yuhibbu li nafsi. So these two, all right, to have faith and gratitude is very important when you deal with this world. For example, what you have. What you have is not because of what others have. So what you have is because you know what you want to do with it. So how do you deal with that? It is in the sense you have to be thankful for what you have. So you can only have that attitude if you have the gratitude. All right. I'm not having this because someone else is having it. I must have it. No. All right. The trend is such, doesn't matter. If my trend says that I don't need it, then I don't need what the world is telling me. You know that my iPhone, I'm hinting to Ihsan Institute to get me a new iPhone. All right. My iPhone is a model that I don't know what it is. I don't know how many years back. It's a model that when I go to the shop, they don't know what model it is. It's really backdated. It's the worst of the worst model. Maybe it existed during Lord Louis Mountbatten's acceptance of surrender from Yamashita. It is really backdated. And people, my students, they make fun of me. They said, "Sir, why not getting a new iPhone?" I said, "I don't see a need for it. I don't see a need to upgrade to a new iPhone. I don't use it to take photos for my career. I just need it to simply send text to you miserable souls to answer your questions sometimes. I don't need more than that. If Nokia 3310 had a WhatsApp app, I would have used it. I would have no problem with it. No, you need Nokia 33109210, that the game Snake. All right. I will have used it. I don't see a need for it, so I don't use it. So I'm not one of those that every time an iPhone model comes out, like, I'll be the one that queues up for it. I'm not the one that goes on a rampage to get it. No. All right. Why? Because I don't need it. So ask yourself, do you need it? All right. Do you need it? If you don't need it, then you don't need it. So you have to have a gratitude. You have an attitude of gratitude. It means that whatever you need is based on whatever you purchase, whatever you seek for, is based on what you really need. What you don't have, all right, what you don't have is not a desire for you. What you don't need is not a desire for you. Secondly, also, the attitude of faith. What's the attitude of faith? Have a desire to provide for others. Why? The Prophet says, with regards to faith, La yu'minu ahadukum hatta yuhibba li akhihi ma yuhibbu li nafsi. You are not of complete faith until you desire for your brothers or sisters what you desire for yourself. So I have accumulated wealth here. And I see that a sister is falling short or a brother is falling short in terms of his living. All right, he's having some inadequacies. My desire is for him to have enough to go by. Because I myself desire to have enough to go by, I should not desire less for my brothers and sisters. So when you are guarded and you are guided and guided by these principles in life, your life becomes one of tranquility. You do not desire what people desire. You're always thankful for what you have. And secondly, whatever the people are not having enough of, you provide for them. If you have this mentality in life, you go far. You go far towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You get nearer to Him. Because why? You don't have any rank. You don't worry about things that you don't have. But you worry about things that others do not have. And that is the way of the Prophet and the companions. And that's how the Prophet looks out for his companions who are in need. And that's how Sayyidina Umar, Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq, they continue with that. That is something, and that is the solution to the current state of this world, where it is the opposite. People are seeking what others have to the point whereby they forget about what others do not. This world today is filled with self-entitlement, self-engrossment, self-accumulation, all right, self-aggrandizement, all the self. Which is why some contemporary scholars says we are in a stage where it's called anania. Ana. I. Anania. All right. The symptoms called anania. Everything is about me. Ana. All right. That's why they have the counter qasidah called Man Ana. Right, the counter qasidah. Man ana. That becomes that. All right. But sadly, it's a qasidah that you recite, but we don't pay attention to it much. All right. So that. And therefore, this calls for, I'm not done with the third advice. First, when we give, also train ourselves to be generous. What is beloved by teachers? All right, we're talking about teachers, right? Hatim Al-Assam and Shakir. A teacher loves a student who is generous. Generous in what sense? You can be generous with your time, generous with your effort, generous with your wealth. Look at all the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. Who are the more prominent ones? Those are generous with their time. Those who are generous with their effort. Those who are generous with their wealth. And Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq has all. Abu Bakr Siddiq is generous with his time. He's generous with his effort. He's generous with his wealth. All right. So you want to build a good relationship with your teacher, be someone who's willing to sacrifice for the cause of the teacher. All right. So you must be prepared to. If the teacher is doing a worthy cause, then you must be committed. You must work towards achieving that cause. Right. So if the teacher is his cause, the teacher's cause is to spread the benefits of good knowledge, then you must work towards supporting your teacher in doing so. Imam Al-Ghazali in his work Bidayatul Hidayah, he actually mentions that part of your day, part of your routines is to be of service to the community, and a part of your service to the community is to be of service to the scholars. Find a way to serve the scholars in whatever way possible. Find a way to serve the scholars, whatever. You can serve the scholars by putting in time, whatever they share. All right, when they give a kalam or they give a speech, when they say something, share what they say. All right, take it into bite size, share what they say. Time for the scholars, work towards it. All right, and you know, when doing all these things, you should not do so because you want to be seen with that scholar. Some people, all right, this is just anecdotal. A brother was running events. He was running an event, all right, and he was approached. All right, he was approached by so a scholar was scheduled to come. This was in the past. A scholar was scheduled to come. So one of my friends, he's one of those organizers. So a scholar was scheduled to come. Someone came to him. All right, someone came to him and says, can you arrange it in such a way that when the cameraman takes a photo, right, I'm always seen with this scholar. I'm always seen this scholar so that people know that I'm actually quite close to him. So my friend, he's a nice guy. He didn't know how to live. He was disturbed by this. He talked to me, the evil guy. I told him, ignore it. Ignore such people. Your closeness to a scholar, your closeness to your teacher is not determined by how many pictures you have with him. You know, I only have one picture with my late teacher. Those of you who follow me on Instagram, the only picture I share with me and my teacher is only that picture. I just change the shade. It's either black or white or it's color. It's the same picture, my wedding picture. On my wedding day, he came for lunch reception, and that's the only picture I have with him. And the other picture I have with him is me and his graveyard. That's it. I don't have any picture of him. And is that a reason for people to judge? Oh, he's not close to his teacher. What? Not many pictures of him with his teacher. Sometimes the best students, they are not seen with their teachers because they are busy running things for their teacher than to be seen with their teacher. You know, not many people during Maulid, I'm talking about Maulid here, right? So or Maulid or an occasion, right? I always tell my students last time. So when you do Maulid, I always tell them, let's not go for the Maulid. Astaghfirullahalazim. Let's not go for the main event. We go for the after event. What's the after event? The main event, everyone wants to go for Maulid. Everyone wants to go for Maulid. Everyone wants the front row seat. I said, don't go for the main event. Let's go for the event that no one wants to go to, but it's still part of the Maulid. What is it? The cleanup. And true enough, you know, every time there's a major Maulid event where there's food being served, because one of the Imam Junaid Suyuti says that part of Maulid is to have food served, which is why it comes with biryani all the time, right? When food is served, I always tell my students, I always ask the organizer, is anyone doing the dishes? Is anyone doing the cleanup? Oh, mashallah. We overlooked that. Do you have a team? Oh, we have a team of people willing to do the dishes. Do that. Do the things that people don't want to do. So in 2014, we went to Tarim. Me and some of my friends went to Tarim. All right. So there was a Maulid at the mosque of Imam Al Muhajir. We have a great. It's a howl of Imam Al Muhajir. All right. It was a gathering at his mosque. All right. So there's a Maulid there. So after that, there was food. There was biryani. So all of us were not knowing what to do. So my friends and I, what do we do? Okay, let's do the simplest thing. The most basic thing people need. What? We just take a bowl of water. So after the meal, those who are leaving, we just offer water for them to wash their hands. That's it. Just wait at the door. Someone comes, finish meeting, go around, offer them to wash their hands. Offer them to wash their hands. It's these things. These things will never get you into a photo with the sheikh. This thing will never get into a photo with your teacher. These things will never get into a photo. But these things will be vividly captured inside your deeds and presented to you in the hereafter. Which one do you want? A picture in this world that has no value in the hereafter, or a picture that is not seen in this world but is captured for you in the hereafter? So be that. All right. It's thankless. All right. Because you measure gratitude by what people say about you. All right. But be that person that wants to do things for the sake of Allah. And to do so, take yourself out of the picture, literally. Take yourself out of the picture, literally. All right. So when you do so, all right, when you want to give, all right, when you want to give, be generous, one of the things you might consider is how to start giving physically. All right, start to budget, start to schedule, and start to learn to actually give. All right, we have a question here. Okay. Humans have always been curious to learn new things. True? Alhamdulillah. As a student of knowledge or someone who seeks knowledge, to what extent is the desire to learn, so that we don't be too taksub? The desire to learn is not the same as being what's taksub? All right. It's from the word asaba, means that fanatical. To be fanatical. All right. The desire to learn and to be fanatical is not necessarily related. All right. So the desire to learn is something that is praiseworthy. You must have that thirst for learning. Continue to learn. Now, the issue of being ta'asub or being fanatical is it happens, and it usually happens for learners of knowledge or seekers of knowledge, when you start to compare your teachers. You have desire to learn from one teacher, good. All right. So as much as it is praiseworthy to have, it is recommended, it is good to have a range of teachers, like the scholars. So the question is, do you have one teacher or many teachers? The question of one teacher or many teachers is answered by yourself. If you have many teachers, but then it confuses you, then it's good to have just one or two teachers. Because the purpose of learning is to understand and practice. If you have many teachers in your portfolio, but the more you have, the more confused. I don't know how to start, which one to follow. So many. It drains the soul out of you for learning. Then it's better to have one or two teachers. What's the point of having one or two teachers? It's not because you only believe that only these two teachers can make it. No, it is because you want to make sure that you can understand properly. The lesser, the better you learn. Okay, then take two teachers. Which is why the scholars last time were great. Why were they great? Because they have a lot of teachers and they can comprehend from multiple teachers. That's why our teachers have a lot of teachers. Why? Because they can comprehend. Why do we not have many teachers? Look at ourselves. With one teacher only, we cannot commit ourselves. With one teacher already, we're missing lessons. With one teacher already, we cannot commit to the time to serving our teachers. What more with multiple teachers? That's one. All right, so that's one thing. So the issue of many or one teachers, all right, is dependent on yourself. Now, if you are someone who has a teacher, we have a main teacher. Usually we have a preferred teacher. It's like school. When you go to school, which one teacher you have? Your science, maths, whatever teacher. Who's your favorite teacher? The PE teacher. The PE teacher takes you to the store, ambil bola, main. Right? All right, go and play. All right, you like your PE teacher. All right, you always like your PE teacher, or you like your Malay teacher, and your Malay teacher also. All right, why? Because your Malay teacher is always having there's always that interaction with your Malay teacher. Sometimes you can talk about life with them, life philosophy. All right, that might get you into the school football team. All right, so that was in my primary school days. All right, so that you have your favorite teachers. You have and so for us, even for spiritual teachers, for our religious teachers, we will have one or two that we are very attached to, that we have a preference to. Now, having a preference for teachers or having an attachment to a teacher is important for us to not use it as a basis to negate other teachers. One of the ways the devil probe, all right, the society today is that you start to fight over whose teacher is better. You start to talk, this teacher is better. Your teacher might be the best one for you, but you cannot force people to accept that your teacher is the best one for them as well. People have their own desires for teachers. So do not go about saying, oh, my teacher is bad. Don't. That's why there's this qasida by Habib Umar Hafiz. Ya Rabba Makkah wa Safa. Uktum hawana in arata ridana wahdhar tubihu bisirina. All right. What does he say? All right. Hide. All right. Hide the secrets of your teachers. All right. If you indeed desire to be amongst us. So your teachers, do not tell the world everything about your relationship with your teacher. Me and my teacher are like this. We are tight. We are close. Don't. There are some things, it's a secret. It's a secret between you. It's a feeling that you have for your teacher. Keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. All right. So your teacher is the best one for you, but do not ever fall into the trap of thinking that therefore all other teachers are lesser. No. Who's to judge that? Allah judges that. You have a teacher that you like the most, alhamdulillah. But do not be the one that actually low abases other people's teachers. Oh, your teacher is no, it's not as good as my teacher. You know my teacher. One of the foolish things one can do is to sit around comparing teachers. Or comparing wirid. You know your wirid is too long. Mine is short. It's like a bullet. It hits you precisely. No, it's like an arrow, man. It's long and you shoot it, you might miss the target. No, 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 no. Don't compare this. There are some things in life you do not work towards comparing. It's not worth comparing it. So answering your question, all right. So in answering your question, just focus on learning and seeking benefits from your teacher. That's it. So, taksub means that you start to look down on other people's teachers. Next question is, okay. Ustaz, you're talking about working with amanah. The upcoming job that I'm working will just need me to deploy people to their sites and check on what they are doing. After that, we'll have nothing to do. After that, we'll have nothing to do once I'm done with the round. With the free time unofficial, am I able to read some books? Of course. Will it be able to be counted as not doing my job? Okay, depends on your job. If your job allows for that. So for example, I'm a teacher. Okay, tell you something about insight into a teacher's job. Some of you are teachers inside here. There are days where it's peak hours, peak period whereby marking incessantly, non-stop marking. Or you have to prepare for lessons. At those period of times, you cannot do anything else. Why? Because if doing anything else will take away the time to complete the marking, to give feedback, and to prepare for lessons. So at that period of time, you are not allowed to do anything else. But there are also times whereby after the marking is done, the kids get back their results, the period of time running into the holidays, where it's relaxed already, you can watch a YouTube video, you can read a book, no problem. But if your job, because you are a surgeon, you are supposed to do an operation, you cannot take out a book to read. Pride and Prejudice. Cannot. All right. You have to perform the operation. All right. You are a prison warden. Your job requires 100% attention through and through your job. You cannot do anything else. So depending on the nature of your job. So if your job is to supervise and allocate, after you are done, okay. MashaAllah, do your free time. All right, take your free time, do it well. All right. So that's why all these caution people, you go to the office, they watch YouTube. Even though it's a YouTube, an ustaz or an asatiza or whatever, you watch a YouTube video, but you're supposed to complete your job. And your job is not done, you have sinned. You have sinned. Ustaz, but this is a sheikh. I'm watching a video of a sheikh. A sheikh or no sheikh, your work is most important at that point of time. And this is the advice of our teacher, Sheikh Ahmad Sa'ad Al-Azhari, to be sure that you have amanah in your job. All right. But if your job, so you have to understand your nature of your job. If your job allows for your free time, okay, go ahead. Go with the free time. If your job doesn't allow so, then you have to be concentrating at all times. Okay? Okay, so read your book. All right, read your book. Okay, rather than you go hang out in the canteen and gossip for 3 hours, go and read your book. All right? Wallahu a'lam bisawab. Okay. MashaAllah, I think I've overshot. We just on time. All right. We look at the fourth benefit. Inshallah, next week's lesson. All right, next week's lesson will be pre-recorded because I have something on next week. All right, so I'll be doing a pre-recording of next week's lecture. All right, I will send it to Brother Irwan or Sister Azura, and then they will upload it into our group, and then you can access it and watch it at your own time. It's important that you watch it because I will talk about the fourth or fifth benefit, and after that, the next time I come back, the next week, next week, 2 weeks from now, when I go back on lesson, all right, then we will be looking at already the other benefits. All right, so it's important that we pay attention to the pre-recorded lecture. All right. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين الحمد لله بالعالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah. Thank you, Ustaz.
Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, Ustaz.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ustaz.
Thank you. Thank you.
Terima kasih Ustaz.
Sama-sama. Okay, see you, Wan. Assalamualaikum.
Inshallah. Waalaikumsalam.